We're talking about cinema's most fabulous car chase, the finale to the Italian Job. Behind the scenes was just as interesting as the action that was filmed, and we've got all the stories.
The ramp to the aircraft museum was literally scaffolding and scaffold boards that had been put up a day or two before we got there. It was fairly rickety. It's enormous, that building. They put the cars out at the ends there, and you couldn't see who or what was going on. I mean, it was terrifying up there, you know.
Just as tricky was this sequence. It's all about timing. Good luck! Too slow and you topple, too fast and you damage the cars.
In the sewer, a loop-the-loop proved impossible, but our telemagic shows what it would have looked like. Notice how some of the cars grew extra lights to help visibility in the sewer, which, by the way, was in Coventry. But it was back in Turin where they filmed the most dangerous stunt of all.
I have to say that the roof jump looked absolutely terrifying. It was across a street. It's not across a small gap between two buildings.
Obviously the danger lay in the mishap. If someone's foot slipped off the accelerator or some mechanical failure occurred, the driver would have simply splattered into the wall opposite.
And Michael Deeley was quite nervous, I think, because there was a law in Italy at the time that said if there was an accident, the producer of the film would be the man held responsible, even if he didn't have anything to do with the technical setup of the stunt. And he, in actual fact, had a car with its engine running, waiting by the factory door where they were shooting this, and a plane at the airport ready.
If anything nasty happened, I was out the back door very quickly and preferring to argue the toss from a safer place.
The whole thing was a very nerve-wracking affair.
The extras were tense.
And it was terrifying.
You know, lots of measurements were taken and lots of pacing, but no one was really too sure. And even Remy still says to this day, you know, he was very nervous of that stunt. It was a long drop down, and no one was too sure how well the minis had held together.
One cameraman went off to be sick because he couldn't cope with the stress.
A lot of cajoling went in to sort of get the drivers to actually stand up and give it a good go.
You know, of course, another thing, they had to go and empty their bladders because the idea of on impact, if you've got a full bladder, it's not going to be a very nice thing either.
My father said, well, look, if you make it, I'll be the other side of the jump with a bottle of whiskey for you all. And they all really remember this moment of the minis going over, and there was my father with a bottle of whiskey, and they all got out of the cars and had a good drink afterwards to calm the nerves.
The rotten thing about it all is that the stunt was much more exciting in real life on the set than it looks on film, because the film wasn't shot properly.
I think it's a shame it isn't really captured well on film. You know, the gravity of the situation, if you like.
If you want to do height, you shoot from above. You don't shoot up, because shoot up could as well be on the ground.
Using Tiff's toys, we can show you how it should have looked. Mind you, the jump wasn't the only scene that required a bit of risk-taking.
Basically, someone had to wave them up to the ramps to line the wheels up. But if you think about the width of the coach and the width of the Mini, there was literally about 4 inches spare. So any inch either side, and whoever's standing there at the end of the coach was not going to be very well afterwards.
Get the wheels in line, get the wheels in line with it!
So nobody would do it. And even Remy's team weren't going to stand there. And they're like, well, no, we'll stay in the car, thank you very much. So to have the stunt, my father, no problem, I'll do it. So if you actually watch the film, that is my father, the director, with the beard, waving the minis on.
But perhaps the most impressive scene was one which didn't involve any moving cars at all. Of course, there was a bit of help from
The Mafia. They'll be waiting for you.
The Mafia were paid all the time. What the Mafia did is they supplied the extras. And there were 300 extras with 300 cars.
Turin was jammed for real, and someone was basically bribed at the traffic light centre.
Everybody in the world is bent.
I mean, there was havoc every day we shot there. There were traffic jams without us. You can imagine with us.
If you tried to jam the centre of Turin or jam the centre of London by bribing someone, you'd all end up in prison. But in those days, you seemed to sort of get away with it, and it was all sort of a nudge and a wink, and no problem. Did anyone get permission to throw 3 old minis down an area of natural beauty?
No!
I don't think they did.
Which of course brings us to the most frustrating ending in movie history. One that was chosen only after 5 others were dismissed.
They got rather complicated, involving Swiss bank accounts and people meeting in Geneva.
there were so many endings touted, one of which I really liked, which didn't happen, was I seem to remember they were going to arrive at the bank, deposit the gold. They were going to be shown into the manager's office, and when the leather chair swiveled round, it was going to be the head of the mafia was the owner of the bank, which would have been a good ending.
My favourite ending comes from this 1969 book of the film, which I bought for 5 shillings. And in it, having been made to give the gold back to Fiat, Charlie lifts the spirits of the boys by saying, "Haven't you ever heard of General Motors?"
Cinema's original cliffhanger was in fact dreamt up by producer Dealey, although neither Michael Caine nor director Peter Collinson liked the idea of keeping everything up in the air.
Hang on a minute, lads. I've got a great idea.
So what was the great idea? Well, Michael Caine maintains that it was to start the coach's engine, run the fuel tank dry, thus shifting the balance forwards so they could all hop out to safety, leaving the gold to plunge into the valley below.
But we've also heard that the Mafia could have sent 2 helicopters with a line strung between them, lifted the coach and bagged the gold for themselves. But the intended sequel never came.
Well, the reason there wasn't a sequel is the film never worked in America. It absolutely didn't work, and for years we blamed the Paramount publicity.
The American poster was misleading. It wasn't a gangster flick, and the States didn't care about quirky Brits, so it bombed.
It is still a flop.
What do you mean?
The picture cost $3.2 million. The last statement I had from Paramount, which was a year or so ago, showed a deficit of $8.5 million.
Unless a film is an instant worldwide hit, the huge distribution and advertising costs start racking up insurmountable interest.
The film was only released on video and DVD very recently, so for 30 odd years we've looked elsewhere for Italian job fixes through computer games, pop videos, paintings, even an annual charity run, all tapping into the magic of the film. And now, so has Hollywood.
In 1999, the story broke. They were going to remake The Italian Job. The rumour mill suggested George Clooney, Rowan Atkinson and Volkswagen Beetles. Were they having a laugh?
We shouldn't have worried. The producers said they'd only ever got minis in mind for the new film, and BMW were happy to lend them. But surely trying to make something that'll measure up to the perfection of The Italian Job is asking for trouble. It is, which is why the modern film is called a contemporary update.
Mini UK are playing the whole thing down, recognising that the old film has become rather sacred. But in the States, where mini means skirt and not much else, the new movie is a marketing godsend for BMW, and dealers are reporting a 20% increase in showroom traffic.
The film starts in Venice, but that's as Italian as it gets.
Andate giù, andate giù.
To ensure success in the US this time, the plot takes place in LA.
You ready to create the biggest traffic jam in the history of Los Angeles?
Oops.
Here we go, folks. We're rolling. Action!
The Mini Coopers, they are an integral part of the heist, and they're part of the cast.
We have 35 Mini Coopers that we got from BMW, but we could have used 135 because we treat them quite harshly. The new Mini, I'll tell you, if you could design a stunt car, it's one of the best cars out there for that. I mean, we've been doing some things that I don't think has ever happened with small vehicles like this before.
One of those feats is a duel with a helicopter, amazingly piloted for real under the flyovers of downtown LA. 3 minis gave their lives for this scene alone.
Got it, it's nice.
The movie's all real. Everything that the Mini Coopers do is for real. We're not doing any visual effects to enhance the movement of these cars. We're doing it all with the Mini Coopers.
Stand by, please.
To make things even more realistic, all the actors were sent to a special stunt driving school.
It was a lot of fun out, I'm in my element when we're doing that kind of stuff.
They're fun to drive, but me, I have a weak stomach. I just had a big breakfast. We're racing around and, you know, doing different stops and maneuvers and stuff like that. I was probably 5 minutes in the car, and I threw up all over the car, out the window.
You okay?
The actors loved it, and they were all great at it. Maybe the best was Charlize Theron.
I remembered my agent calling me and saying, they want to customize a car for you so that it's automatic. And I was like, what is this like when you're a girl? Like everybody just automatically thinks you drive like crap. And by the way, they want you to do like 2 weeks extra driving school, you know, separate from the guys. And I was like, I'll kick their butts.
We know that the stunt unit wanted more time, but after the director, F. Gary Gray, rehearsed his moves with a pinhead camera and Matchbox cars, they still turned out some pretty tasty stunts.
One such stunt involved commandeering the Hollywood Walk of Fame for 2 whole weeks.
It's not every day that you get to drive a car on the sidewalk over the stars of James Dean and Jean Harlow. So, yeah, we had fun doing that.
The Minis then make a suspension-shattering escape down into the Metro line.
A ban on petrol underground meant these cars had to use electric motors, while a ramp was needed at the mouth of the sewer to make for a dramatic jump. But hit it too fast and you scraped the roof. Then there was the landing.
Open the door!
3 cars had 2 steering wheels, so a stunt driver could duck down and do the business, while the actor could remember his lines. BMW even sent a dedicated mobile repair crew to follow the cars from location to location with vans full of parts.
There was also a specialist car continuity coordinator armed with a sledgehammer to ensure that damage was consistent between takes.
So, did we like the new movie? Well, surprisingly, yes. It doesn't have any of the charm of the old film, but it doesn't insult it either. And it's been a $100 million success in the States. Let's face it, the sight of 3 Minis on a mission of mischief is always going to be worth watching.
And when it came to the premiere, the cars upstaged the stars once again, no matter how big the names were.